Today, the topic what is given to me is on priorities of higher education in the context of academic leadership, I suppose. Now, as a person who has spent almost 25 years in academics and equal years in industry, I was trying to think over what is the parallel between the two vis-a-vis the leadership problems. We have already concluded that there is a crisis in leadership. And it is my feeling is it's not fair to point fingers only at the vice chancellors or at the higher level. Actually, from bottom it starts, and top the problems come because of a totally different reasons. Now we need good education. Nobody doubts. But many of the policymakers in our country believe that if input is good, output also is good. So what I want to point out is some of the basic issues which prevent acquiring good quality in our higher education or even lower education. So this kind of perception by the policymakers. As you know, that in any management principle, policy comes first, and then the strategies and tactics are all which follows based within the framework of policies. So somehow our policymakers believe that if input is made all right, output also is good. We know that just because someone uses a Babala racket or a Nike shoes and drinks Gatorade drinks, he does not become a Rafael Nadal. A lot of hard work is required. So our education system just cannot attain the expected quality unless a lot of hard work takes place right from the bottom level. It was Thomas Stewart in his book Intellectual Capital who said that there was a time when capital was viewed purely in financial terms. That is what is tangible, what an ordinary man could see is in an economy like a GDP or a per capita income or the bridges or highways or high-speed trains as we are now accustomed to. So that way we try to evaluate our formal economy. But in education, you know that it is not this way that we have to view things. A good metaphor to analyze the educational leadership problem is compare it with an iceberg. What is seen outside, maybe about 10%, is what all of us are very keen to discuss about. And we theoreticians, because I've been talking a lot of pedagogical theory to teachers and students and all that. We believe that these theories will somehow help us to retrieve the lost ground. But the actual fact is what is hidden, the 90% in the iceberg. And these things are intangibles, not the tangible things which we are very fond of to count. When I was going through the university rankings and all that worldwide, I found that even the best university, that is the QS ranking, the best university in India, Indian Institute of Science, comes only at 150th. And even our IITs, we esteem them all, we find that they are much lower. Not even one institution in the first 100. And all these new universities, some of them come in 2,000, 2,500, like that. So the ranking goes, and often our trend is to blame the ranking system rather than to correct ourselves. So how to how to discover these intangibles? It is not that it is not possible to find out what are these intangibles, but somehow we are very reluctant to do that. Now, the recent educational policies, which has become a very sacrosanct and holy grail, that people are afraid even to talk about the pros and cons of that. So it has given a lot of freedom in the hope that the numbers of educated graduates in the country will increase, the PhDs will increase, the research will go up, and still they are not able to face the basic problem. They are not able to allocate the natural resources for a country which is almost at the bottom of the financial might of the poor people. So how we can rectify this kind of situation? A lot of private universities have now mushroomed in the country, and I have close association with some of them. And even they managed to appear in this kind of ranking, even though I know the performance is not that much. So somehow the higher education institutions in the country, many of them, feel that they can manage and manipulate the cosmetic approach to all their dealings, their admissions, their results, everything they can do, and then nobody will question that. And when we are talking about high pedagogical principles, about teaching, learning, creativity, whatnot, we are not touching this basic problem. Are we able to monitor? In fact, Mr. Rao was talking about the discipline in industry, which is true. There is a discipline in industry, but where is the discipline in academics? Unfortunately, in the present scenario, most of our educational institutions, new educational institutions, have been commercialized. And to that extent, there is discipline because the institution should generate profit. So this kind of priority is the present handicap which prevents us from progressing further. We may be having a number of universities or higher education institutions or engineering colleges or medical colleges in the country. But what I have seen is the new engineering colleges, both in private and even in government sector, maybe 30 to 40% of the seats are not filled at all. And nobody wants to face this problem. Let us take the medical colleges. There is a very high target for starting a medical college in each district of every state. Very noble goal. And then what has happened to that? We are churning out some of the medical graduates who have not even seen a dead cop, and they are not able to, and they are not having even basic facilities, but all these things are hidden from the team which is supposed to give them recognition. The same is unfortunately true for engineering education also. So the higher education will flourish only if appropriate discipline, as it is prevailing in industry, is enforced. And in industry, to start with, when I started my career, we are always concentrating on the production numbers. So many tons should be produced, and then if we achieve that, it is well done. Then later, the gradual shift came to quality. If your product is not having sufficient quality, nobody will buy that. So out of pure necessity, industry turned to quality. You know, in India, we had to follow quality because the export was one of our major goals, and then we did that. Now, how about thinking in parallel about the educational field? In our higher education, we often boast that many of our people, especially graduates from IITs and all that, they have become CEOs in multinational companies. Even there is a big list, maybe 10 or 12 of them have become the CEOs. But does it mean that our higher education system is good? Most of them, after graduation in IITs and other good institutions in India, they have gone abroad and then they further use the opportunities given by them, and then they have risen in their career. So they are not a symbol or an epitome of the quality of our higher education system. In Kerala, especially now, we find that even though our engineering college seats are vacant, many are now migrating abroad, especially to UK and other places, availing bank loans. So they are sure that once they acquire that qualification, either they can migrate properly or they will get a good job. Because in India, except IT, now jobs are not there. I mean, these are some of the hard facts which we have got to face. We cannot create a world of imagination and say that everything is fine. In a country now, which now we have become number one in the world with a population of almost 1.4 billion. But our poverty has further increased. So one of the major steps that priorities, the steps that we have to take as a country, as a nation, is to create a level playing ground where the haves and have-nots have got equal opportunity to access higher education. This is extremely important. Otherwise, what is happening is only those who can afford the higher fees, even in government institutions, higher fees, only those who can afford to meet that, they will be coming up. And I'm not telling they are not good, but if you give a nation with 1.4 billion an equal opportunity to everybody, not handicapped by the finances, you will be seeing wonderful results. As Stuart said, our intellectual capital is what is really important, the 90% of the iceberg. If our intellectual capital grows, there is no doubt all the GDPs or per capita, everything will go up. But now our approach is top down, not bottom up. What we are trying to do is we are creating more numbers of universities where people with very dubious academic achievements are being put as leaders. And many corporates are now allowed to run educational institutions and universities as they are running their corporates. And also I am finding that a kind of hereditary culture is coming in universities, especially private universities. I have been to at least 2 of such universities in Tamil Nadu. When the father retires, the son, irrespective of his qualification, he takes up the role. If he is chancellor, the fellow is hardly 30 or 32. With some kind of qualification, he becomes a vice chancellor or even chancellor or something. So please don't attribute any sanctity to these kind of designations. Just because somebody is a vice chancellor or a vice chancellor, the leadership automatically does not come unless hereditary is an accepted science fact. Actually, it is a fiction.
Okay, Dr. Job Kuruvila, would you conclude?
I'll conclude because some of these facts require very quick conclusion, I know. So in short, what I want to say is our higher education system will show a better performance only if you are willing to accept that what is needed is a thorough review of what is happening at the bottom level and some reforms, bold reforms to see that ethics prevails in monitoring the performance of universities and colleges and all that, so that they know that they will be rewarded for their merit, not what they are able to make others to believe what they really are not. Thank you.